Hey everybody, welcome back to our neck of the woods. So in this video, as the title says, this is kind of the bunker room slash gun room, shotgun room, vault room, whatever you guys have called it and suggested. But it is video number 2. We're going to be doing the floor, hopefully finishing out the walls. And then I want to go ahead and talk to you guys about what we're using and some of the suggestions and stuff that you guys had mentioned in the last video down into the comments. All right, so first up, this is what we're going to be using. Again, this tile came out of my sister's house where it had failed. I'm not exactly sure why it failed. All I know is my dad said that they used the cement type board. They only used roofing nails to nail it down to the subfloor. So he thinks it wasn't really too secured. And that also means that the cement board wasn't glued down or anything to the subfloor, just some roofing nails. So if that was moving at all, then the translated up and the tile cracked up above. I don't know what type of mortar they used. Like I said, the mortar that we put down here under the uncoupling membrane, that is a thin set that is used for 15-inch and smaller tile, but VersaBond makes a mortar that's for larger tiles, which as you can see here, that's a pretty large tile. Those are 8 inches by 4 feet. So clearly a very long tile. And I guess if you're not using the right mortar or thin set, things can crack and break and go wrong. So, you know, who knows? Erin is on her way home from work. So she's just gonna stop by Home Depot real quick and pick up the right thin set. And then we can get started on this, but hopefully all goes well. We'll have to pick out a grout color later and see what she thinks looks best, so that way we at least have the same grout that we can go ahead and use this stuff up in the laundry room too. So it's all, we're not really wasting product or anything. But I don't know, these things look pretty good. Really none of them are damaged. All the grout that they used at her house just flakes off, so not even that really stuck that well, although I don't really know how well grout is supposed to stick. I thought grout was only for keeping the tiles from moving like side to side, but it's a nice brown color. I am gonna install it long ways. So just like that, I'm no expert in how decor and everything should look, but I think for a long skinny room, I don't think it makes sense to put the tiles just going this way. I would like to make them go long ways, and then when we do like the second and third and fourth and fifth row, I'll go ahead and cut those tiles back. So obviously as they run down this way, they're not all ending at the exact same spot. We'll go ahead and stagger the joints, and I'll probably do at least 4, maybe 5 rows of different lengths. So that way as they go down here, they're all completely different. But if I didn't want to cut anything and I didn't really care about the look, it would make sense just to turn those tiles sideways, because then you would literally just be putting one down, one at a time, and no cutting would be needed, and this entire room would be complete, whatever 24 feet 8 inches is, minus 8 inches width there. So it'd go a little bit quicker and easier. But I do think yeah, we're gonna go long ways and see how that looks. And then tomorrow when I go to the store and start picking up, I think most of our gutter stuff is in, which I'm actually making a video for that right now, that we're gonna be putting all the gutters on the house. We'll go to the store and pick up the rest of these panels that we need over here and over here. And then I think, unfortunately, we have to go to Menards one more time, even though I said I'd never go there again, because we did get a $500 rebate in the mail the other day, and I need a new safe, and Menards has safes, and I gotta use the money because it's free money, so why wouldn't I go there and see what I can snag up for a free $500 or maybe a little bit more. And we can go ahead and get a safe down in here too. So hang tight, we'll wait for the mortar to show up, and then we'll get started. Oh, and while we wait, there are 2 things that I want to talk about real quick, and a lot of people mentioned these in the comments on the last video. So a lot of people said, do furring strips and get these off the ICF wall. Well, first off, the video is already completed, so doing furring strips and going back is gonna be a little impossible, not something I wanna do. but I'm really not worried about moisture down here in the basement. At least on this wall here. I'm not at all worried about moisture coming in from this way, but moisture is probably gonna be more of a concern on this side of the wall, as that does happen in ICF's houses if the house is too tight. So you have to have an ERV, HRV, dehumidifier, etc. So we will be having that in this house. Now, will this room have its own dedicated system? Probably not. Number one, I don't have a floor drain. So if I were to put a dehumidifier in here, there's no place for the condensation to run to. And if I don't come down in this room for a week on end, then the bucket's gonna fill up with water, and then it's not gonna be doing its job because I'll forget to come down here and check it and empty it out. Now, that being said, Aaron and I do have some thermostats placed all over the property and inside of the RV. They are temperature sensors with humidity sensors on them too. So when we move in here and out of the trailer, we can go ahead and just set one in here. And if I have the unit upstairs on the kitchen counter and I look down and I'm like, oh God, you know, the room is a little bit humid down there. I got to go see what's going on. But yeah, I may put one in here, but again, I have to basically always empty it myself, which is kind of a pain in the butt. So I really have to keep track of how it's looking. So that's option number one. Option number two is, if anyone has noticed what the hell that pipe is, that is the pipe that's actually going to be the mini split for the entire basement, which, by the way, I did just get off the phone with Mr. Cool's supplier, and they went ahead and priced out all of our units and sizes that we need for our square footage and stuff. So down in the basement here, we're gonna be going with a single head 36K unit. So pretty much the largest one that they make. Well, now that we put this wall here, that pipe now needs to extend so that the head unit can attach to this wall. So it's kind of makes the room look a little bit ugly, I guess. But when you do walk in here, you are gonna see that pipe run all the way across, and we'll put a coupling over there to attach those two together. But you are gonna see a pipe go across there and kick out here. And again, that's the drainage line and where the Freon and stuff is coming through the outside condenser up to the head unit. So head unit will sit right there. We'll just go ahead and drill a hole in the wall here and the drywall over here, and it'll run through there, and then you won't even know it. So down into this basement, we should have decent humidity control, since third generation Mr. Cool mini splits do very well at dehumidifying. But if it's still an issue down in the basement, we can go ahead and put a standalone dehumidifier either in the room over there, or just set it over here and it'll pipe down into the sump pump, and then I never have to worry about it. It'll just always be plugged in, and its condensation will drain down and be taken out. But if the room, I don't want to put a single unit in here, and if the room is too hot, too cold, too humid, etc., worst case scenario that I'm probably going to do is, yes, you'll see a mini split right there on the wall, but to the untrained eye, what I will probably do is up on the ceiling up there, or down over in that corner, or down over in that corner, or whatever, I will probably just go and buy the grates that people have in their homes, that if you have a regular HVAC system, that I'll just go ahead and throw those grates into the wall. So that way, that wall is not completely airtight and sealed off from over here. So it'll, again, you'll just think, oh, that's just where the return line is, and that's where the hot and the cold come to feed from his central AC. But we don't have a central AC or furnace or anything. But it'll give the appearance that we're breathing in from one wall to the other. And then that way, again, that room's not completely sealed off. And yes, for many people who have said this room, you know, should have been more of a bunker, that was really never the case. It's really just some place for me to go and keep my guns and ammo away from everybody else, and, you know, kind of out of sight. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna put some just cheap R13 insulation in between these walls, just a single layer of drywall over here, so that will pretty much cut down decently on sound transmission, but it's not going to be soundproof. It's going to be nothing like what we're going to do for the master bedroom. So again, cheap insulation, however much soundproofing this stuff does, plus a 1/2 inch of drywall. And I'm not going to be air sealing it. I'm not going to completely close this off. And I was never going to use cinder blocks here and build this wall up to make it like a bomb shelter or something like that. I was never going to do that. It's just kind of out of sight, out of mind for a little room for me to escape away to. So nothing has to be that crazy and special. But yes, the #1 comment here was the humidity control in here. But if this door isn't 100% airtight, then the temperature and the humidity outside of here should be able to leak in. But again, if it is a issue, then I either have to just check how little of a dehumidifier we need to put in here and plug it into the wall. And again, always keep track of it with the temperature sensor, or just drill some holes through the wall and put in those vent grills that you just think it's the heating and cooling return. So this room is not isolated from the basement. Okay, mortar is on the way. We'll get started here, but I quickly just went ahead and assessed how this was gonna lay out. So I don't have to do any cutting. My sister had several pieces that are all different lengths, so we just went ahead and stuck them back like that. And because this is a 4-foot room and these must be sized out for keeping that in mind, like 2 foot, 4 foot, 8 foot, etc. I don't even have to cut the widthwise. They're not underneath of the particle board. They're just barely touching, so there's room for those to move and expand and contract. So they won't actually ever hit the wall and break or anything like that. But with the 1/16 of an inch spacing that we're doing with these guys, and again, these guys keep the floor completely level. Probably have Erin actually, before she makes it back, go ahead and pick up another bag of these. But these basically keep your floor, again, completely level. You get your spacers in there, then you stick your yellow things in there and you click them together. That raises everything up evenly. And then those white plastics are extremely brittle. So once the floor is completely hardened, you just go ahead and kick them, and you'll keep the yellow ones for a lifetime. But the white ones, you basically just have to keep on buying, since the under part is broken off underneath of the tile. But again, that'll make the floor completely level. It spaces it out, and again, we're only achieving a 1/16 of an inch here. My sister had, I think, over a 1/4 of an inch grout line in there. But to me, I could care less what the grout line looks like. But hopefully that all works out. Again, that is perfect, that the layout fits in there perfectly. So again, we'll get started here as soon as Erin gets back with the grout, or the mortar. All right, mortar is mixed up. We're gonna get started, and wish me luck. Okay, so I'm actually gonna stop here for the day. The reason why I didn't put that row over in there is because I think I was gonna get a little bit too close to hitting this, and some of the mortar went underneath there. So I am gonna cut those tiles pretty much like rip cut them all the way down so that they fit a little bit better. And then again, we'll leave them off of the wall good 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch in case anything's moving. That way the wall's not pushing on the tile or the tile's pushing on the wall and makes things crack. So I'm gonna let this harden up here. I just ran out of mortar. Again, kind of the same thing that happened with the first bag. There's probably 1/4 left of that 50-pound bag for as much water as it said I needed to mix in. And I don't wanna mix any more up, and I'm gonna need a tile saw. So if I were to just do probably 2 more rows coming this way, then I would need a tile saw to cut this last row against here. And then depending how they fit back in there, again, I may need to rip cut them with a tile saw. It'll just be, have to play it by ear. But for right now, seems to go okay. The spacers I think are a little weak. Again, those are only a 1/16 of an inch gap, plus a little bit when mud gets stuck in there. So you have a little bit more than that in between for a grout line. But when you're clamping them together, they don't always interact with each tile because the spacer wants to break before a tile can be pulled up or pushed down. But I mean, it's smooth enough. Nothing that anyone is ever gonna really see or get down on their hands and knees and constantly run their hand on and see if that will you know, be 100% smooth. The only thing I messed up on is I didn't know it until one of the tiles was already placed. One of the ones that my sister had cut down, or the guys who installed her house had cut down, this tile right here should have been flipped that way because that's the cut line. So as you can see, you've got like a 1/16 of an inch back here and then almost 1/4 of an inch back there. So whoever cut that tile doesn't know how to cut a tile straight because it just went like this. So probably not a big deal. Again, no one's gonna walk all the way down there and stare at that. And depending on where we put the safe and everything in that back corner, it's gonna be pushed out far enough anyway. So not really worried about it. So grout will take care of all the mistakes. Again, that should be completely flat enough that I'll enjoy it. So we will go and get a tile saw. We will probably get some oak or some nice wood to trim this out on the corners and along the baseboards. And again, I still haven't figured out what I want to do with the ceiling, but it doesn't really matter about the ceiling anyway, because if we're going to do radiant floor heating stuck up to the subfloor to heat the whole first floor, then I can't have a ceiling on this anyway because I need to get those tubes through each one of these and loop back out. So yeah, I want the loop part to at least get, you know, a good amount of distance in through here, but we'll see. So we'll stop back tomorrow when we get a tile saw, when we get the grout. We actually have to pick the color still and finishing the particle board and all that stuff. We just got a lot to do. So we'll go and see if we can get a new safe tomorrow again at Menards. But we'll see what we can pick up, and then we'll just see you guys back here first thing in the morning. Good morning, everybody. So Aaron and I just got back from Menards, and we got our safes. Did he just say safes as in plural? Yes, I did. Here's why. So the two biggest problems with safes are obviously their vulnerability of, number one, you can pick up a safe and move it and steal it. Number two, you can break into the safe. Now, number one, picking up a safe and moving it, for us to not have that happen, I really want to put a safe down in that corner that's basically as wide as that wall. Well, that's 47 inches wide. For us to get a safe that wide, we're looking at thousands of dollars, and we are looking at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. That is not something that I want to pay, and that is not something that I want to deal with. I don't want to get it up these stairs, get it up and over this to where we're not dragging it and like cutting all of that up. And then of course, getting it down the stairs. I built those stringers and there's 4 stringers in there, but I don't know, me plus a dolly plus someone else, or maybe even 2 more people, plus like 700-800 pounds on a set of stairs, not really that comfortable doing that. So Number one, again, the weight issue and stealing it. I thought of another way to tackle that, and I'll tell you about that in a second. Number two is the breaking into a safe. Now, every time I watch a YouTube video or look at a safe or something like that, people always stress about their doors. And, you know, we've got biometric and we've got hundreds of locking pins, and our exterior hinges, they're not exterior, they're internal. And some safes don't even have locking pins. They actually have like locking bars that uses like plate steel. And great, that's great. Congratulations. You've got a hell of a safe with a front door that's gonna be really hard to break into. But if anybody has half a brain, you never break into a safe through the front door. Why? Because all safes, pretty much all safes, usually on the sides, the back, and the top, is just made of cheap ass 14 gauge steel. I'm sure there's some safes out there that are thousands of dollars that probably use 12 gauge. And if I was building a safe, I would use 10 gauge steel, but I don't even know if a 10 gauge steel safe is even an option out there. So I don't care what the door's made of. Again, if you're gonna break into a safe, you're gonna spend $5 on a cutoff wheel, and you can go to Harbor Freight for 25 bucks and pick up a grinder, and you will literally cut in the side, top, or back of a safe in about 10 minutes. So it doesn't matter what it is. A safe is only a deterrent. So if someone wants to break in, they're gonna break in. But again, for me to occupy that space down in there, I thought we need something that's about 24 inch or 48 inches wide. Well, again, I don't want to deal with the price or the weight, so what do? Well, that's when I was like, you know what? Let's buy two safes. Let's buy two smaller safes, stick them in there against the back wall. That will take care of the side vulnerability. But again, if you want to break into the safe, you can still cut a hole in the top of it, or go in through the utility room, or even cut a hole through the drywall on the side, and you'll expose the sides and the back. So again, it doesn't really matter. But to take care of the weight factor, two little safes that we're actually going to bolt together. We're going to drill a hole all the way through each side of the safe and bolt them together. Now we have a safe that is about 400 plus pounds. So very difficult to move now. And because we've pushed it back in that space, we've gotten rid of kind of the vulnerability of somebody being able to cut into it and actually get into it and steal our goods. And then of course, by using two safes, and someone else would probably mention, you know, why didn't you just go with like a medium-sized safe? Well, two safes are still bigger than a medium size. So now we've got the storage capacity, and these two safes weren't even the price of like the medium to larger size safes. So we're saving money, we're getting the weight, and we are getting the storage capacity that we want. So to me, it kind of works out perfectly. So I'll probably wait on Erin to get home. She just went to get her oil changed before we get these things unloaded. But stop by my friend Rob's house. We picked up a dolly. The most difficult part is probably getting it up through this front door here, because again, we're still dealing with that front step there being about 2 foot high. But as long as Erin is up there holding the top of the dolly, I can pretty much deadlift 200 pounds. So it shouldn't be a problem for us to get them up and get them into the house. All right, mortar's mixed up, but while we wait, now the fun part. Apparently, you just kick these, and there you go. The bottom white part here stays, but it snaps off down there so it doesn't mess with your grout line. And yeah, you can get rid of all of them, get them out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and do this strip over here, finish out the rest right here, and then we should be good that the mortar will have sat for 10 minutes after its first mix, and then we can get started and finish. right, everybody, we are all done with tiling, and I just got cleaned up the tiles that we had already done, so that way the mortar's not really sticking too hard on them. But tomorrow, when all this is dried, we will go ahead and knock all those out. We will sponge and clean the rest of it up, and then we'll start the grouting, which will require more cleaning. So these will get scrubbed at least 2 or 3 more times, but that is done. It is looking good. The only mistake I kind of made was the first 4 that I had to do over on that side. I did not put the clips underneath, and the mortar obviously hardened, so it couldn't get under there. So I tried to get them as level as I could. There may be a little bit of a wavy spot in there, but no big deal. At least I was able to level them to each other running down this way. And I just stuck the spacers down in there so I get my gap, but wasn't able to put a level spacer in there, but not really that big of a deal. So tomorrow again, we'll be back out here. We will grout. We will get the rest of it cleaned up. And then if Aaron has time right now, we'll go ahead and get those safes in here, and I'll show you what those look like. Okay, both safes are down here. Wasn't too bad, really. We actually rolled it up the stairs, getting it into the house. Put it on a dolly, and then we got it up onto the first step, and then she kind of held the bottom, and I just held the top of the dolly and let it fall down each step. But like I said, it was free money at Menards, basically. So Sports Afield, 1887, it says it was established, so I don't know. But 18 gun, fire safe, 30 minutes, so really, like I said, pretty much all safes. You're lucky if you get like a 14 gauge steel around the outside, and then they usually stuff in a 5/8 drywall, and that's your fireproofs, which is why you have to do that in a garage. That's why all garage walls and ceilings need to be 5/8. So like I said, a little over 200 pounds. Bolting these together will give us over 400 pounds, and let's open it up and see what it looks like. All right, so this being the back side, I can already see some holes right here. So that's not bad. That will allow me hopefully to get some bolts into the back here too and bolt it to the wall, so that way you can't really take it away. And there's probably bolts in the bottom too, but we're not going to drill down through the concrete and hit some radiant floor tubes. So we're just basically relying on these guys being bolted together, and then some bolts back here, and I might even put some bolts in the bottom too, so that way it's bolted to the back wall and you really can't steal them. All right, so comes with a battery, manual, and some crazy long skeleton keys, because I'm assuming since it only uses a digital electronic lock, let's say, if that dies, then you obviously need to still be able to get in here, so. All right, there we go. And then, like I said, right there, you can take these out and bolt it down through the floor. But hopefully we don't have too much issues drilling through just a little bit of 5/8 drywall. And again, just some 14 gauge steel. But at least for this thing locking, looks like it's got only 3 pins. So 1, 2, 3, nothing on the top or the bottom. So like I said, not the most secured, but at least, I don't know, usually people look at doors, they do say you want a very small gap so you can't pry it open. Like I said, most other safes will put these hinges on the inside so you can't break in and steal stuff. But like I said, if anyone's intelligent, you're just going to cut through the side or the back and get in anyway, so you don't even have to worry about these. But not bad. I like the paint. I like the color. Let's go ahead and set up the digital lock and use it for the first time and see how that does. Just got the keypad installed, and basically you're just attaching a battery and turning it until it locks itself kind of in there. But again, if the battery dies, that's why they give you these huge skeleton keys to go all the way in there. There are an additional 2 pins that I saw while doing this. There is a pin right here and a pin down there. So it's not just these 3 that punch out here. But yeah, that should be all we need to do. So we're locked, and now we can't get in. And then, like I said, we'll bolt the other one together, and we'll wait until we get the floor completely done and the trim done in there, and then we'll go ahead and do that. So not right now, but I don't know. What do you guys think? We've got ourselves a nice little safe. I wish these things were taller. You have to get like the crazy expensive safes so that you can actually get some height. I was thinking about maybe pouring a concrete pad and then setting these up kind of like almost on a shelf, and then I could have bolted them down, but call me lazy. Didn't want to set up a jig and pour all the concrete in there, but I mean, that's something that I guess I still could do. Pouring concrete onto the porcelain tile I don't think is going to hurt anything. And if it ever breaks one day, then we can just cut the porcelain tile at the front of the concrete lip, pull that piece up and install a new piece cut to length. But that should be fine for now. But yeah, I just wish they were like more like my height. I wish they were like 6 foot tall so you could really pack some stuff in there. But that'll do for now. So hang with us. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to do the trim, the grout, wash everything down, get it nice and pretty, and then we can stick these back in there, and we can go ahead and bolt them to the back wall. All right, everybody, so hopefully this is the last day on the build. The mortar should be hardened, so we're gonna get the grout and do that, and then clean up the floor real good and get all the mortar and any dirt debris off of the ground, and then we'll let the grout dry for a couple hours. And then we should be okay to kind of push the safes back in there. And then we also got our trim boards here. And just because of the prices of lumber still, or just because trim board is extremely finely finished, the best that I could afford was poplar. So we'll see how the poplar installs and how it stains. Erin's on her way right now to pick up some stain. I told her just to get a nice looking dark stain, as it's not really that important, but we're gonna see how a stain takes to poplar, and we're gonna see how it actually takes to the particle board too. We are gonna stain that. I'm not gonna leave that room so bright. And then whatever's not exposed will be covered up by like the gun rack system, and those are kind of painted or primered or powder coated like a kind of like a real dark gray. So that will be in a later video when we actually, like, probably part 3 when we finish the bunker or gun room video. We'll have to see what kind of system we can afford, because the systems for hanging stuff is actually very expensive. So again, let's at least head down there now. Let's grout, let's start putting up some trim, and then we're just gonna stain it all at once. And however it turns out is how it turns out. So hopefully there's a little bit of a difference though in the color between the particle board and the trim, so that it gives you that, that there is an appearance of having trim. All right, so we're gonna clean this floor up one more time, kind of getting the dried mortar off the top before we start to grout. Then we'll let it dry a little bit. And yes, I am wearing knee pads finally. I know people mentioned that in the comments before, that I should have been wearing them, but it actually wasn't the being on my knees that was such a problem. It was getting mortar on my knees and then having to pull that mortar off of my leg hair. That's where it really hurt. But knee pads should help, and I am wearing some pants because they do chafe a little bit. Hopefully I don't ruin these pants too bad, because if people are wondering why I am so into guns and everything, well, number one, I am born and raised in America. I am a raised hunter, and growing up on action movies and everything else, but my pants are from my police academy. I will be the first to admit that yes, police academies are run very military style. It is very yes sir, no sir, doing push-ups when you're in trouble and everything else. And in fact, our class actually chose our class leader, who actually was a Marine. So unfortunately, police, when you're supposed to think that you're going to be protecting and serving, I think a lot of people or a lot of police do get into the mindset that you know, we need to run this like a military state and stuff like that. And unfortunately, that's not the way it should be. That's not the way that I, even though went through the academy, that is not the way that I had a mindset. I was there to actually want to protect and serve. So helping people in need and giving warnings that, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. This is why. And we got harassed a lot when we were kids, not because we were bad kids, but we were into fast cars, loud cars and bikes and stuff like that. And we weren't really doing anything wrong. We weren't doing drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, but we got harassed a lot as kids just because we had fast, loud cars, and that's all we really were doing. So I kind of turned that into, that's how I wanted to be a police officer, and that's the way my mindset actually was. But unfortunately, didn't last too long. Had a ACL blowout kind of in that time frame, and it never really recovered all that well. And I went on to kind of bigger, better things and got back into healthcare. So that's where I am. So hopefully that answers questions of why I am so into guns. Is because, again, that's how I was raised, and I just like it. It's a fun hobby. We are done for now. That's pretty much the grout cleaned up and scrubbed with the bristle part of the sponge, and then we got the excess off. Now the grout says that we need to wait 4 hours, and then we can wash it again and remove like the light haze that there is going to be, because that grout leaves a little bit of a grayish white film. But professionals are probably going to yell at me for that. I did use the pre-mixed stuff, and it's quite expensive. For example, this little simple grout 1 quart costs as much as like a 50-pound bag, but this little 1 quart did the entire thing. So I don't know, you can call that as a win or a loss. We picked the earth color, so it's pretty much blends right in. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but you can see the grout line almost disappears because of how well it matches. But again, we'll let this dry for 4 hours, and then we will go ahead and hit it one more time with some clean water. And then it does say wait 24 hours before you do anything, but I think if we're safe enough and we wait, say, 4 hours after we clean it, wait an additional 4 hours, I think 8 hours total since when the grout was actually laid, I think we'll be fine to go ahead and move the safes in. And then I can get working on this trim piece up here and the back wall. So hang tight and we'll see you guys back then. So we're all done with the floor, and I have started the trim. And then because I wanted to get the safes back here, I started staining everything. And if anybody is wondering if particle board and poplar take stain well, yeah, really well. So I told Aaron that most pictures I saw online, a lot of people were doing like black trim and real dark grays, and then the stuff that they're hanging on the walls are really dark. So she went and got this premium stain here, and she got ebony, and which of course is black. And I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but I mean, it is black and it turns stain instantly. The second you put it on and you wipe it off, it doesn't come off. Now, again, I don't know how well this is showing up on camera, but you can obviously still see the wood grain here. You can also see the particle board grain in here, but unfortunately, when you step back over in here, it's almost impossible. I mean, I can still see the wood grain. I don't know how well you guys can, but from all the way back here, I mean, that just might as well be solid black, at least again on camera. So I don't know what we're gonna do now. We might end up having to paint these walls and just paint the trim instead of staining, since obviously you're not gonna get the ebony stain off of that right now. Not the end of the world to paint it, but I don't know. I'm gonna paint or stain the rest of this wall over here. Actually, I don't have to stain this because the gun safes are gonna go on the bottom part, but I'm gonna hit up the trim at least, and then probably come out to where the safes will stop. And yeah, I don't know, probably should have gone with more of a brown or something. And I did test it out, and I wiped it off really hard with a rag and just kept on rubbing, and that got a lot of the color or the wood grain back exposed. But again, holy crap, does poplar and particle board take stain. And I mean, it takes it instantly. You gotta wipe it off and it's on there. Or this stain is just amazingly strong and good. So let me finish up again, coming out here a little bit and see what the safes look like pushed back in there. And then we'll have to figure out if we're actually gonna paint the trim and paint the walls and kind of lighten it up in here. All right, everybody, we're kind of all set here. I think it actually doesn't look too bad. The problem is when all of the room gets black, that's really gonna cut down on everything. But on the flip side of that, the mounting systems, again, that we're gonna do are almost the color of these gray screws here. So these rack systems are a light gray, and I will go ahead and show you the company that I'm thinking of right now. So I'll go ahead and link the description and show you a picture right now, right here. And that basically is the system that I want to go ahead and use. So that will re-lighten it up, but everywhere down on here, here in the trim, that's going to be really black. But again, as I'm standing here and staring at this now, the trim lightens up a lot more than the particle board because you can really wipe the stain off. But I don't know. And at least for the blackness that's right here, you're not going to see that because I'm going to go ahead and mount a TV here. So that way, again, as I'm sitting here and reloading, I can look over here and listen to TV and watch and stuff. So, but again, with kind of out further ado, what do you guys think? We got two safes that pretty much fit that space completely. I think the black goes well with it. I don't know why it reminds me of old saloon type, like old Western. You got some really dark trim with these dark gray cabinets or gun safes. So imagine the whole room being like this type of gray that will kind of like re-lighten it up in here. But I don't know. Plus, you know, my bench and stuff like that, whatever I decide to do. But I don't know. I like it. I think that looks really, really cool. And again, kind of like old-timey Western. So I guess the more things I put on the wall and hang to lighten it up, then you're really not going to care about how dark the background is. It's just going to make all of the items pop a little bit more. And one other thing that I still have to do, I still have to bolt these together. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'll pull these back out, unfortunately. And again, this is just for looks. I'll pull them back out. I will find the hole that's in the backs of the safes and I'll drill a hole this way through the safe. So that way I know which way to drill out through the safe. And then on the back side of there, wherever those holes are drilled out to, they came with some wood tapping screws. So if I show you those real quick, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Here we go. The safes came with these. So game plan back here, just to secure them a little bit so they don't move or anything. I've got to pull the safes out, drill a hole through the safe, so I'm going through where they put their hole, through the drywall and the carpet. Then I'll push the safes back in, re-drill a hole this way, and we'll actually have a hole punched through either the particle board here, or who knows, maybe there will be a hole that will actually drill right through a stud and I'll never see it. But the holes through the particle board right here, I'll go ahead and take a 2x4 and set it across here, nailing it and securing it to each one of these. Then when I send this guy through the safe, through the particle board, these guys are actually going into a 2x4 on this side, and that'll be a hell of a lot stronger to hold the safe back as opposed to just the particle board. So that is the game plan. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. You think the black was too dark? Again, I know this probably isn't going to look 100% the same on camera as it does in person, but and I haven't even seen this footage yet. So future Scott, can you see how light these trim pieces actually are, or do they just look like super black on camera? And if they do look like they're still light, like this 4K video is picking that up, then screw it. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it. We'll trim out the rest of the baseboards. And the gun cabinets or the gun mounts that I am gonna go with, I'm gonna put a piece of trim up here to kind of hide that gap right there where the last little sliver comes together. And then the wall system will start, and the wall system will actually go down to about here. So it's gonna hide this too. So pretty much all of our seams are gonna be hidden where you're not gonna see anything. And then the only thing again that we have to worry about in the future is what the heck are we gonna do here on the ceiling to cover all that up. But I'm gonna call this video a wrap. I will get to just knocking this stuff out on my own. You guys have already seen me install everything. And in a future video on maybe part number 3 or something, when we get the rack system installed, we'll go ahead and then show you guys the complete finished product. And then I'll still have to figure out how I'm gonna trim this out and make like a secret access door coming in through this bedroom closet. So yeah, hang around for that one. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like always, subscribe if you're not already. Hit the thumbs up button. That really helps us get out there so more people can view the material and learn a little bit about stuff. And you guys can hit us up on NeckofTheWoods 2020 on Instagram if you need to personal message us about anything. But stay tuned until next time. Hopefully it's the gutter video that I'm halfway through and the gutters actually show up and we can get them completely installed and get this water away from this freaking house. And then we'll figure out what we're gonna do in future videos to come. So again, hope you guys enjoyed and take care.